Before you close your eyes tonight, dare to enter a world where fire never dies and legends are reborn. Hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss another magical adventure. A low crimson glow pulsed across the night sky as 17-year-old Aren sat alone by the dying campfire. The desert stretched endless around him, dunes like silent waves frozen in moonlight. He had always felt the sands breathing, carrying voices from forgotten times, but tonight the whisper grew louder. "Seek the heart of flame! Awaken what sleeps!" Aren jolted upright. The words slid through the air like smoke. He scanned the horizon, only shifting sand and the pale skeleton of an ancient ruin far in the east. His heart thudded. Tales of the phoenix, the eternal bird of fire, had haunted bedtime stories since he was small. Elders claimed it slumbered within the forgotten city, a place swallowed by storms centuries ago. No one who searched for it had ever returned. Yet something deep inside Aren stirred, an ember of destiny. He tightened his worn leather cloak as a sudden wind rose, swirling sparks from the ashes into a twisting column of light. For a heartbeat, the flames formed wings, vast, radiant, impossible. A sharp cry echoed across the dunes, half song, half roar. "The phoenix!" Aren breathed. In that blazing instant, fear melted into resolve. He would leave at dawn. He would follow the whisper through the desert's endless labyrinth, no matter the risk. The forgotten city waited, and with it, a truth older than kings. Aren fed the fire one last branch and watched the sparks dance like tiny stars. Above, the moon blazed like a silver compass pointing east. His journey had begun. Don't forget, tap subscribe so you can join every step of Aren's quest in the next chapter of The Phoenix and the Forgotten City. Dawn spilled over the desert in ribbons of gold and rose as Aren tightened the straps of his sand-stained boots. The whisper of the previous night still echoed in his mind. "Seek the heart of flame. Awaken what sleeps." He left behind the blackened circle of his campfire and stepped into the shifting wilderness. Each dune looked identical, yet the wind carved new patterns every moment, erasing any path he might follow back. The sun climbed quickly, turning the sky into a furnace. Heat shimmered above the sand like a mirage of silver water, always out of reach. Aren rationed his water carefully, sipping only when his throat burned. The small leather flask felt lighter with each mile. He kept his eyes fixed east, guided only by the faint silhouette of broken towers far beyond the horizon, the ruins that locals swore belonged to the forgotten city. By midday, the wind rose into a fierce sirocco. Grains of sand lashed his face, stinging like tiny knives. He wrapped his cloak across his mouth and pressed onward, the hiss of the storm blending with that same haunting phrase, "Seek the heart of flame." Hours stretched into an endless blur of gold and white. At last, through the swirling haze, Aren spotted a cluster of dark palms, an oasis hidden between dunes like a secret jewel. Relief surged through him. He stumbled forward, knees weak, until cool shade embraced him beneath the first palm.
Kneeling beside a spring that glimmered like liquid glass, Aren filled his flask and splashed his face. As he drank, a faint chime of metal rang behind him. He spun around. A tall figure, cloaked in indigo, stood at the edge of the trees, a curved blade glinting at his side. The stranger's eyes, dark and unreadable, studied Aren in silence. "The sands seldom welcome travelers alone. Tell me, boy, what treasure drives you toward death?" Aren tightened the grip on the flask, heart pounding. The journey had only begun, and already the desert demanded answers.
The stranger stepped fully into the oasis light, revealing a face weathered by sun and sand, framed by a deep indigo hood. Gold coins clinked softly in the pouches strapped across his chest, and a curved scimitar rested easily at his hip. "I am Khalid, a merchant of rare wares," he said, voice carrying the cadence of distant markets. "But you are no ordinary wanderer. I can smell purpose on you." Aren hesitated, fingers twitching near the small dagger hidden beneath his cloak. "I'm only passing through," he replied. Khalid's dark eyes narrowed with amusement. "Passing through? Toward the ruins that even seasoned caravans avoid? Toward the city swallowed by storms?" The mention of the forgotten city chilled Aren's spine. "You know it exists?" "Oh, it exists," Khalid said, lowering himself onto a flat stone. He drew a small scroll from a leather case, "and it remembers those who seek it. Many have tried, none return unchanged, if they return at all." The scroll unfurled, revealing a map inked in crimson and gold. Lines of ancient symbols spiraled toward a mark shaped like a blazing feather. Aren felt the whisper in his mind quicken, pulsing with heat. "This map," Khalid continued, "is said to guide one to the heart of flame, where the phoenix waits. But it is not free. Everything of value demands a price." Aren's breath caught. His savings were meager, a few silver coins and the dagger from his father. Yet the call of destiny burned stronger than caution. "What do you want for it?" Khalid studied him for a long moment. "Not coin," he said at last. "A promise. When you find the phoenix, bring me a single feather. Only that will satisfy the bargain." The merchant rolled the map and pressed it into Aren's hand. "Beware the sands," Khalid warned. "They test more than your strength. They test your soul." As night settled over the oasis, Aren traced the glowing lines on the scroll. The path to the forgotten city had begun to reveal itself, but so had the weight of a destiny he could no longer refuse. Moonlight draped the oasis in silver as Aren tucked the crimson gold map safely inside his cloak. Khalid had vanished into the dunes without a sound, leaving only the faint scent of spice in the warm night air. Aren knelt to refill his flask when a sharp snap cracked behind him.
He spun around. 3 shadows emerged from the palms, blades glinting like shards of starlight. Desert raiders. "Easy prey," one hissed, a scar running from his temple to his chin. "Hand over the pack and the map." Aren's pulse thundered. How had they known about the map? The tallest raider lunged. Aren dodged, sand spraying beneath his boots. He drew his small dagger, the steel trembling in his grip, but steady in his resolve. The whisper of the phoenix echoed in his mind. "Awaken what sleeps." "Back off," Aren said, voice stronger than he felt. The raiders laughed, circling. A blade slashed toward his shoulder. He parried awkwardly, sparks leaping in the moonlight. Pain bit his arm, but adrenaline sharpened his senses. Suddenly, a roar split the night. A gust of wind hot as a furnace swept through the oasis. The palms bent as if bowing to invisible power. From the darkness, a column of swirling fire erupted, forming the faint outline of vast wings. The raiders froze, eyes wide. "What sorcery?" one began. But the firestorm surged forward, forcing them back with searing heat. Screaming curses, they vanished into the dunes. Aren lowered his dagger, heart racing. The flames coiled upward, then collapsed into glowing embers that drifted like fireflies. In their fading light, he thought he heard a voice, soft and urgent. "Follow the feathered path." Silence returned, broken only by the gurgle of the spring. Aren sank to his knees, breathing hard. The phoenix had intervened, or was it merely the desert's wild magic? Either way, the message was clear. His quest was known, and unseen forces guarded his steps. As the first blush of dawn crept across the horizon, Aren tightened his cloak and stepped into the endless sands once more, the map burning like a live coal against his chest.
The desert stretched like an ocean of molten gold as the sun climbed high, burning away the cool memory of night. Aren trudged forward, each step sinking into sand that shimmered like powdered glass. The map pulsed faintly against his chest, warm as a heartbeat. He stopped atop a ridge, unrolling the scroll. By daylight, its crimson lines glowed brighter, as if lit from within. Symbols spiraled outward in intricate loops until they formed the unmistakable shape of a feather, its tip pointing toward the east. "The feathered path," Aren whispered. The memory of the fiery wings from the oasis flickered in his mind. A sudden gust lifted the edges of the scroll and carried a trail of sparks across the dune. Aren blinked. Sparks? No. Tiny motes of red light floated from the parchment and drifted ahead, marking a faint trail like embers on the wind. He followed, heart racing. Each glowing mote settled briefly on the sand before darting forward again, leading him across an endless maze of ridges. Hours passed, the sun a merciless white eye overhead. His water flask grew dangerously light. By late afternoon, the glowing trail descended into a narrow canyon, hidden between jagged cliffs. Cool shadow wrapped around him as he entered, and the roar of wind faded to a hush. The walls of the canyon were carved with ancient runes, their edges blackened as though kissed by flame. At the canyon's heart, a single stone arch rose from the ground, etched with the same feather emblem.
Beneath it, a circular platform of dark obsidian waited, smooth and gleaming like frozen night. Aren stepped onto the platform. Instantly, the map flared, crimson light racing across its surface. The runes in the canyon walls ignited, bathing everything in a fierce scarlet glow. "The heart of flame lies beyond," a disembodied voice intoned, low and resonant, vibrating through the stone beneath his feet. Aren swallowed hard. Beyond the arch, a tunnel of molten light opened, swirling with heat and shadow. The path forward had revealed itself, but there would be no turning back. With a steady breath, Aren crossed the threshold, the map's glow fading as darkness swallowed him whole.
The fiery door loomed before Aren, a living wall of flame that pulsed like a giant heartbeat. Heat rolled off it in heavy waves, but the glow of his map shielded him, forming a faint circle of cool air. He tightened his jaw and stepped forward. As soon as he crossed the threshold, the world twisted. The floor vanished beneath his feet, and he floated in a vast void of swirling embers. Sparks danced like stars, shaping fleeting images. Faces he knew, moments from his life, each one tugging at his heart. A deep voice, neither male nor female, filled the air. "To awaken the phoenix, you must face the weight of your own flame. Will you surrender your fears, or let them burn you away?" Aren's chest tightened. Images of his childhood flashed before him. Nights of loneliness after his parents vanished. Years of wandering without purpose. The doubts that whispered he would never be more than a forgotten traveler. The ember stars grew hotter, pressing closer, daring him to turn back. "I am more than my fear," Aren said aloud. "I am here to restore what was lost." The embers flared white, spinning into a storm. In the center appeared a colossal gate of black iron, glowing with streaks of lava. On its surface were carved thousands of names, people who had once sought the phoenix and failed. A crack of thunder split the silence. From the gate's peak, a creature of shadow and fire emerged. Its wings spanned the void, eyes burning like twin suns. It was not the phoenix, but a guardian shaped from molten stone. "Prove your heart," the guardian boomed. "Step through the ember gate with no weapon but your truth." Aren reached for his sword, then stopped. Slowly, he let the blade fall into the glowing void. "My truth is enough," he said, voice steady. The guardian studied him, then bowed its massive head. The iron gate shuddered, opening to reveal a corridor of golden light. "Go," the guardian rumbled. "The phoenix awaits, but remember, rebirth demands sacrifice." Aren squared his shoulders and stepped forward, the golden light spilling over him like dawn. Ahead, the air shimmered with the distant echo of wings. The molten tunnel narrowed, the heat pressing against Aren like a living creature. He shielded his face with his arm as sparks rained from the walls. After what felt like endless minutes, the searing glow softened into a gentle crimson haze. The passage widened into a vast underground hall. Columns of black stone rose like ancient trees, their surfaces veined with faint orange light. The air trembled with a low hum, a sound that was not quite music and not quite words. Aren stepped forward cautiously. The humming grew clearer, separating into whispers. Dozens of voices, male and female, young and old, overlapping like a restless sea. "Who seeks the phoenix?" the voices asked as one. Aren tightened his grip on the glowing map. "I do. I seek the truth of the forgotten city." The whispers swirled around him, brushing his ears like warm breath. Shapes flickered in the haze, ghostly silhouettes of people in ancient robes, their faces hidden by shimmering masks of fire. They formed a circle, their movements slow and deliberate. One figure stepped closer, a woman-shaped flame with eyes of molten gold. "The city sleeps," she said, her voice like crackling embers. Its heart was lost when greed burned brighter than wisdom. Only the phoenix can awaken it. But the phoenix is not found, it is earned. Aren's heart quickened. How? The figure lifted a fiery hand, and the map floated from his grasp, spinning gently above her palm. "You must face the trial of memory," she whispered. "To awaken the phoenix, you must remember what the world chose to forget." The hall darkened. Each whisper sharpened into a single echoing command. "Remember." Suddenly, visions flooded Aren's mind. He saw the city as it once was, a place of soaring towers and crystal bridges, alive with music and light. He felt the pride of its people, then the sting of their ambition turning to greed, the fires of war consuming everything. He gasped, dropping to one knee. The visions faded, leaving only the woman of flame. "Your heart carries the past," she said softly, "but the path is not yet complete. Beyond this hall lies the Ember Gate. Cross it, and you will face the phoenix itself." The columns flared bright, revealing a single door of pure fire at the far end. Aren steadied his breath, knowing the true test awaited beyond. The roar of the phoenix's flames rolled outward like a tide of dawn. Aren shielded his eyes as the molten light spilled across the chamber, racing through hidden tunnels and forgotten streets. The city, silent for centuries, stirred like a sleeping giant. Stones that once crumbled began to knit themselves together, bridges rebuilt in a shimmer of golden dust. Towers rose, their shattered spires stretching toward a sky suddenly bright with swirling constellations. Ancient murals flared to life, their colors as vivid as the day they were first painted. Aren staggered to his feet, breathless. All around, the air vibrated with music, a chorus of bells and flutes, as if the city itself were singing. Through the echoing harmony, he sensed a heartbeat older than mountains, pulsing with renewal. The phoenix circled above, a comet of living fire. "The city remembers," it intoned, voice ringing like molten bronze. "But memory alone is not enough. Will you guide them, keeper of the flame?" Aren hesitated. Guide them? Who were them? Then he saw shadows moving in the reborn streets, figures formed from silver mist and ancient starlight, people who had once lived and loved here. They emerged blinking, tentative, as if waking from a long dream. Children laughed, merchants called out, musicians tuned instruments that had not sounded for 1,000 years. Emotion surged through Aren. "Yes," he said softly at first, then louder, a vow that filled the chamber. "I will guide them." The phoenix dipped its blazing head. "Then the covenant is sealed."
A flare of crimson fire burst from its wings, weaving a circlet of living flame around Aren's brow. It did not burn. Instead, it pulsed like a second heartbeat. Warmth spread through him, strength, wisdom, a quiet certainty. Outside the chamber, dawn spilled across the horizon. The once forgotten city shone like a jewel reborn, towers gleaming against the morning sky. The phoenix ascended higher, a streak of gold vanishing into the rising sun. Remember, Keeper, this is only the beginning. Aren stepped forward, the city's new heartbeat echoing within him, ready to face whatever future awaited.
Dawn bathed the city in rose-gold light as Aren walked the reborn streets. Cobblestones that had once crumbled beneath dust now gleamed like polished marble. The air carried a warmth that smelled of new rain and ancient spice. Every step echoed with the rhythm of countless lives beginning again. The silver mist citizens gathered in a grand square where fountains now leapt skyward. Children danced in circles, their laughter like chimes. Elders, their forms shimmering with memory, raised their voices in a hymn older than any language Aren knew. He felt their gratitude flowing toward him, soft, endless, undeniable. From the highest spire, the phoenix returned for a final flight, trailing a comet's tail of scarlet flame. Its eyes, twin suns, fixed on Aren. The forgotten city is forgotten no more, the great bird declared, each word ringing like a cathedral bell. You are its keeper now. Protect its heart, and the world will remember its song. Aren bowed low, the circlet of living fire still pulsing against his brow. I swear it, he said, voice steady as the rising day. I will guard this city and guide its people for as long as the flame endures. The phoenix beat its wings once, twice, and the sky exploded into brilliant dawn. Then it soared toward the horizon until it was only a glimmer against the morning sun. Silence fell, yet it was not emptiness, but peace. The citizens began to rebuild in earnest, voices weaving hope into every stone. Aren stood at the center of it all, no longer the wandering seeker who had entered a desert of ruins, but the keeper of a living miracle. He looked beyond the shining walls to the endless world waiting beyond the dunes. Somewhere, new mysteries called, lands where other legends slept. Aren smiled. This was not an ending, but the opening of a greater journey. Friends, he said to the unseen listeners, our adventure continues. Subscribe now and ring the bell so you never miss the next magical story. The next chapter is already on the wind. And as the city's newborn heartbeat echoed like distant drums, Aren stepped into the light of a future brighter than flame. The golden corridor seemed endless at first, each step echoing like a drumbeat of destiny. Aren's heartbeat matched the rhythm as the air grew warmer, not with the harsh heat of fire, but a gentle living warmth like the breath of spring after a bitter winter. The walls shimmered with shifting images, rivers flowing backward, flowers blooming in the dark, stars collapsing into sparks. Every vision whispered of endings and beginnings, life folding into life again. Aren felt the pull of something vast and eternal, as if the city itself exhaled with every breath he took. At last, the corridor widened into a vast circular chamber. Its floor was a mirror of molten glass, reflecting a sky of endless dawn. In the center stood a stone pedestal shaped like an ancient nest, its edges lined with crystalline feathers that glowed faintly red. A low hum vibrated through the chamber. From the mirrored floor, a column of light surged upward, twisting into the form of an immense bird made of pure flame. Wings of crimson and gold stretched wider than the chamber itself, each beat sending ripples of warmth across the room. The Phoenix! Aren dropped to one knee, awe and fear mixing in his chest. The great bird lowered its blazing head, eyes of molten amber locking with his. "You have crossed the Ember Gate," the Phoenix spoke, its voice both thunder and song. "But rebirth demands sacrifice. What will you give to heal the forgotten city?" Aren's mind raced. Gold, artifacts, even his own life. Yet he knew none of those mattered. The city had been forgotten because its stories were lost. "I will give my memories," he said, steady despite the ache in his heart. "Let them feed your flame so the city may rise." The Phoenix spread its wings. A torrent of light engulfed Aren, searing yet soothing. He felt the weight of old sorrows lift, replaced by a boundless clarity, as though every star in the universe had found a place within him. "Then rise, keeper of the flame," the Phoenix intoned. "Through you the city shall awaken." A roar of fire filled the chamber, and the forgotten city began to breathe once more.